So today, we're diving into a really profound philosophical mystery. It's one that connects two worlds you might think are completely separate: the Islamic Sufism of Ibn Arabi and the Jewish mysticism of Kabbalah. We're going to unpack the incredible, almost unbelievable similarities between their core ideas and try to figure out how on earth did this happen. So let's set the scene. It's the 13th century. The great Sufi master Ibn Arabi comes forward with this vision of ultimate reality. He calls it Wahdat al-Wujud, which means the oneness of being. And the idea, well, it's both breathtakingly simple and infinitely complex. It goes like this: there is only one true existence. And everything, everything we see, touch, and experience, it's all just a manifestation, a kind of self-disclosure of that one single divine reality. Now get this, around the very same time, Jewish mystics, mostly over in Spain, are describing their own vision of the ultimate. And it sounds, well, you'll see. They called it Ein Sof, which literally means the limitless. It's this infinite, totally unknowable God, and all of creation just emanates from it. It unfolds in stages, kind of like pure white light hitting a prism and revealing this whole spectrum of colors. The parallels are just incredible, right? You've got two different religions, two different sacred languages, but they seem to be describing the exact same fundamental structure of reality. So the big question is, how did this happen? Was it just a wild coincidence? Did one directly influence the other? Or were they both tapping into something universal? To even begin to answer that, we have to start where they did, with the very nature of God itself. All right, section 1. The one beyond naming, describing the indescribable. You see, both of these incredible traditions, they begin their journey at the exact same starting point, a divine source that's so absolute, so ultimate, that it completely defies all human language, all our attempts to comprehend it. So for Ibn Arabi, it's like this: there is only one true existence, wujud. Everything else you see, the whole universe of forms and phenomena, it's not a separate creation. Think of it more like a self-manifestation of this one single being. The source itself is just pure, undifferentiated, and way beyond any category or box we could possibly try to put it in. And then you look at Kabbalah, and wow, it's so similar. The Ein Sof is exactly that, something without end, a limitless, absolute reality that's totally beyond human description. It's often called a divine abyss or a nothingness that holds the potential for everything. It's the ultimate cause of all causes, the source from which the entire blueprint of creation just unfolds. So let's just pause on that for a second. At the absolute foundation of both of these complex systems, we find the exact same really radical idea. A single, unknowable, divine unity is the source of everything. Yeah, they use different words: Ein Sof, essence, Godhead, but you can tell they're pointing to the same absolute transcendent one. All right, section 2, the unfolding of worlds, from oneness to multiplicity. Okay, so this leads to the next logical question, right? If reality starts as this perfect, unknowable one, how do you get, well, all of this? Our messy, diverse, complicated world of things and people and experiences. How does all this multiplicity come from absolute unity? Well, both traditions have a fascinating answer. The Kabbalistic answer is a process of emanation, and it happens through 10 distinct stages or attributes called the Sephirot. The best way to think of them is like cosmic vessels, or maybe a series of lenses. Each one takes the infinite, formless light of the Ein Sof and gives it a little more definition, stepping it down level by level until it becomes our world of form. And what's so cool about this is that it's not just some random list of attributes. No, it's a map of a cosmic process. You can literally trace the descent from pure, raw potentiality, that first spark of divine will in Keter, the crown. Then it moves through stages like wisdom and understanding, and it keeps going all the way down until you get to the final, tangible reality of Malkut, the kingdom. And that's our physical world. Now, hold that thought about a structured process, because Ibn Arabi describes something that is, well, it's strikingly similar in what it does, even if the words are different. For him, the world doesn't emanate. Instead, it comes into being through a self-disclosure. He calls it tajalli, of God's eternal names and attributes. And the logic here is just, it's really beautiful. The divine essence is one, right? But it contains all these infinite qualities within itself, the merciful, the just, the creator. And these names, just by their very nature, they need to be expressed. They demand a place to be seen. So the created world, the cosmos, it becomes the necessary mirror where those divine attributes can finally be reflected and known. So when you put them side by side like this, the structural echo is just undeniable. I mean, both are describing a transition from a hidden, unified source to a manifest, diverse reality. One calls it self-disclosure through divine names, the other calls it emanation through the Sephirot. But the fundamental pattern of this grand unfolding, it's basically the same. Okay, section 3, the human mirror, the microcosm and the macrocosm. But the story doesn't just stop there with this big cosmic creation, not at all. Both traditions then zoom way in and place humanity in this unique and absolutely central role in the whole drama. The core idea is this concept of the microcosm and macrocosm, that every single person is a small universe, a complete reflection of the entire cosmic and divine structure. And for these mystics, this was not just some poetic metaphor. Oh no, this was literal. It meant that a human being is the ultimate, the most complete mirror for divine reality that exists. And this is where it gets really interesting, because while both see us as a mirror, they give us very different jobs. In Ibn Arabi's Sufism, the goal is to become the perfect man, to basically polish that inner mirror until it perfectly reflects all of God's divine names. It's about becoming a perfect reflection. But in Kabbalah, humanity has a much more active role. Our actions, our prayers, our choices can directly impact the cosmos. We have the power to repair the world, to fix the flow of divine energy and restore cosmic harmony. All right, section 4, uncovering shared roots, a crossroads of ideas. So we've seen these incredible parallels in their theology, their cosmology, and the role of humanity. It just brings us right back to that huge question. How did this happen? The answer, it seems, lies not just in what they were thinking, but in where and when they were thinking it. Okay, just look at this timeline for a moment because it pretty much reveals everything. We're talking about the 12th and 13th centuries. You've got Ibn Arabi, born and developing his ideas in Al-Andalus, that's medieval Spain. And at the exact same time, in the exact same region, the foundational texts of Kabbalah, like the Zohar, are being compiled and circulated. This wasn't two separate worlds, this was a true intellectual melting pot. And here's the crucial point. These thinkers weren't operating in a vacuum. They were all drawing from a shared intellectual toolkit. And a huge piece of that toolkit was something called Neoplatonism. This ancient Greek philosophy had been revived by Muslim and Jewish thinkers, and it gave them the perfect framework. It gave them a language to talk about how a single transcendent one could create a diverse world through emanations, and how the human soul wants to return to that source. It's the exact framework we've been talking about this whole time. And the connections get even more tangible. Look at this idea of the science of letters. Both traditions developed this deep, mystical reverence for the letters of their sacred languages. For the Sufis, it was the 28 letters of the Arabic alphabet. For the Kabbalists, the 22 letters of Hebrew. To them, these weren't just symbols for sounds. No way. They were the actual fundamental cosmic building blocks of the universe. All right, last section, a shared summit. One truth, many paths. It really is like watching two groups of climbers. They start on totally different sides of a massive mountain. They're using different gears, speaking different languages, but somehow they get to the very same summit and end up describing the exact same breathtaking view. So let's just boil it down to the 3 huge parallels we've seen. 1, they both start with a single, unknowable divine source. 2, they both describe creation as a process of unfolding from that source. And 3, they both see humanity as the special microcosm, a mirror of the entire cosmos. And that leaves us with the final big unanswered question. So what's the answer? Were these thinkers secretly reading each other's work? Is that what explains the echo? Or were they just using the same philosophical toolkit, Neoplatonism, to build their own very similar-looking houses? Or, and this is maybe the most mind-bending possibility, were they independently, through their own mystical experiences, tapping into and describing the very same universal reality, just using the different cultural languages they had? The impossible echo is there. The mystery is yours to ponder.